Om Shanti, good morning and a very, very warm welcome to the last day of the Churning and Writing Retreat. I think the last 4 days have been incredibly rich, and it's like we've been given so many tools and methods and inspirations that I think those of us who have been listening and attending the sessions, at least for myself, I feel that I'm listening to the Murlis even in a different way. It's like I can't wait to hear the Murli and just go and do something with it. So I feel it's really, our spiritual resources have really managed to do what we wanted them to do. So that's absolutely wonderful. And our spiritual resource for today is Sister Antonella from Italy. And Antonella was actually probably one of the first persons that came to our mind when we started thinking about whom to invite to speak at this retreat, because Antonella is really a sincere lover of churning. I think that's one of her main specialities is the love for churning and the love for Baba Smulli. Maybe a little bit about Antonella's background. Antonella studied Oriental language and culture in Italy and in Japan, and it was in Japan that she got in touch with the Brahma Kumaris. She established and ran a successful fashion business before getting more and more involved in the running of the BK activities in Italy. She was involved in opening the BK centers in Milan and Olbia and Bologna, where she currently lives. She's the member of the NC team in Italy, and she has written 3 books on spirituality, was a main organizer of 4 international forums of spirituality and arts in Sardinia. But I also know Antonella from my own experience, and I think she's someone who is extremely creative, both in terms of churning, like in her unlimited way of thinking and getting new ideas for service. She's like a fountain of inspiration. And also she's very, very generous in so many ways. And I think one thing that I've seen is that she really pushes the new students that are close to her to move forward in sharing the knowledge. So I think that's beautiful to witness. She really trains them and gives them a lot of sustenance and support to start churning themselves. So I think we couldn't have a better person with us today than Antonella. So I really look forward to listening to you, Antonella. Warm, warm welcome again. So glad that you could join. And there will be time for Q&A in the end for Antonella. So anytime during the session, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. So over to you, Antonella.
Thank you, Stefania. What a nice introduction. Wow. Yeah, love churning has been my main sustenance since the very beginning of Gyan. And I will start with my story, in fact. When I came to Gyan some time ago, one day while sitting in meditation, I was extremely new. I was talking to Baba and saying, Baba, I came very late. You know, it was already the 90s, more or less. I thought, gosh, it's late. As I think everybody, every Brahmin think when they arrive, they think it's late. So I thought, Baba is late. I have to go fast. What can I do to go as fast as possible according to my capacity and to my, energy? And while meditating, some thoughts came in my mind, and actually 2 thoughts that I still remember the feeling that those thoughts provoked in me. And the first thought was repeat powerful and elevated thoughts. And then I choose the thoughts, I'm a pure and powerful soul. And I kept repeating them so many times, all the time, as much as possible, every day, thinking it's a kind of instruction, I just follow. Luckily, the feeling of being obedience was very strong, and and that helped me a lot. Like if you focus on a powerful thought, then of course the mind is busy. Beside the fact that the mind, in my case, especially, I don't know you, but was extremely lazy. So I had to give some work to activate it. And the repetition of thought, and specifically one thought that I liked very much, I'm a pure and powerful thought, was providing me a feeling and a work for the mind. So much that after some years, not some days or some months, but some years, eventually that thought would come in my mind without thinking. And I thought, gosh, look at the effect of the repetition of thoughts, that eventually it becomes so much part of you that it pop up in the mind without being thought or called. I don't know if it's clear. So I would wake up in the morning with the thought, I'm a pure and powerful soul. And that was quite revealing. And the second thought that came in my mind during that meditation at the beginning was churning. And I thought, what a hard work must be churning. And so I took it anyway seriously, even though I felt it was a hard work and I didn't really like it very much. But I took it seriously, like, yeah, must be good, must be important, actually vital. And I remember being around with people who love churning, so yeah, that would fit. So every morning I would choose 5 points from the Murli, write them on my notebook, and go to work. And during lunchtime at work, I would eat in 10-15 minutes, and the 45 remaining minutes, I would think, okay, I will churn. Um, it was really hard because I would fall asleep on the paper because I would look at the phrase, a point of the Murli, thinking that's it. What should I add to this point? It's already clear, complete. I don't need to add anything. That was the feeling. It was already finished in that way. But I pushed myself to explore it, to think over it, and with the idea of writing at least few phrases. And I would really, literally fall asleep on the paper. Well, it was noon, lunchtime, just had, lunch, so it was comprehensible. Still, I was really blocked in a way, so much stone intellect. But I didn't give up. And I think I'm really glad I didn't give up because after 1 month of practicing, this hard work every day for a month, only 1 month, eventually for each point, I could write half a page. That was an incredible result. But the main realization through that was to discover that there was a space within me, within the soul, where there was a treasure to access and things that I knew and I didn't know I knew. It's like I don't know that I know. And that was enchanting. That made me carry on churning. Like, gosh, I've got so many answers, so many treasures, so many so much wisdom inside that I don't know, yet is me, is part of me. So there is a huge portion of me that I don't know. What a pity, and what silly. So that motivates me so deeply to keep churning. And from being a torture, because at the beginning it was really a torture, to become a pleasure. That was an interesting path. But then, when the energy moves in that direction and you discover there's so much is within you, and you can extract really jewels out of your own intellect, then it's really fascinating. It's a fascinating process that Baba teaches us. And unless I do it, I will not know the feeling of discovering me and the treasures that I own within me. So that kept me going consistently. And then later on, I realized how much protection that was providing me. Because I can say that my main sustenance in Gyan has been churning and the relationship with Brahma Baba. I've been living alone for many years in an island, Sardinia, so far away from the center, at the time where internet, WhatsApp, or whatever was not there. So I had to self-sustain myself, and I wanted to do it at the best I could. And so the relationship with Brahma Baba was very intense. It's very intense. And of course churning. But I find that those two, they goes together, because Brahma Baba was the first one that was in love with churning, and he was just into Gyan, into knowledge, so that Gyan knowledge wouldn't just be information or concept, but my own truth. And so I thought that the relationship with Brahma Baba and Churning, they were having a strong link together. And one exercise I used to do was to take an Avyakt Murli, especially the Avyakt, and a photocopy, and cut it every paragraph, a complete sentence. Maybe it was small, maybe a bit bigger. And I would cut it and glue it at the top of a A4 notebook. So at the very top, there was the point that I glue with, with the glue. And then I would churn the entire page. And I would not give up until I fill the page. And so on for each point, for the entire notebook. And so I would spend an hour every day doing this. Of course, I had that time, luckily, and but I don't think it's just a matter of having time, but it's a matter of giving priority. Because if I give priority to something that I find important for my growth, for my build up my power, then I will give that time, and that priority will be, important. We do have enough time, as much as we want, to do what is necessary for the soul. And so churning has been so important. And the first realization was, let me access my treasure store and use that to inform my yoga, my dharna, and service. Because churning, when it becomes a sanskara and it actually it leads me to a space of silence, a space of realizations, a space of awareness. Then that state will inform my yoga, my dharana, and service, the service that I will do. So I thought it was really vital. If I don't churn, what do I do with Gyan? Just a question. No, what do you do with Gyan if you don't churn? It becomes, like Caroline was saying yesterday, another belief, a concept, but it will not become my blood, my awareness. It will not become my experience, and I cannot become an embodiment of those points. So, and another realization was that Baba often speaks about the third eyes, the opening of the third eyes, which has to be something that happened on a deeper level, not just because I say to myself, I'm a soul. I can't say my third eyes is open just knowing that I'm a soul, because many people know that. Everybody that come to the center and take the course, they know I'm a soul. If you ask them what you are, a soul, they're very good in repeating the lesson. But that doesn't mean the third eye is open. It just means they know some information which are good. And it becomes just another information or just another belief system. But the awareness and the ability to use that and to really be enlightened, to keep the flame lit, like yesterday Mohini Ben was saying, keep your flame lit. That's when I go on another level of understanding through churning. I don't, in my case, I don't believe you can reach it in any other way except through churning. And then whatever I churn, it will lead me and will push me into an experience of yoga. And it will give me the power to implement my dharana. In fact, after some years, some people ask me, within the class, talking to souls, they were saying, but what is royalty? What is dignity? Those kind of virtue, they are not so common. Or what is humility? Whatever, the less common virtues. And so I start writing those meaning that, according to my understanding. And so I did write for every virtue, and eventually became a book, because whoever write the book, and I think that was a common thread between all the people that were talking within this program, they have been writing books. And it, I don't consider myself a writer, actually, but I'm just churning and writing it down. Actually, this is very important. The churning has to be written. And everybody said it earlier too, because I will keep my concentration alive. Not because I will read it again, I might not even read it, because the pleasure is to explore and throw out and discover. Read it might happen, might not. But to write down means I keep a thread of concentration and a thread of making meaning. And even now, if I churn, after many years, I will write it. And I enjoy to do that. I find it essential. I will not churn. I will, how do you say, start thinking of a topic, but then I will have to have my pen and paper to, you know, create it. I don't know, on a paper, it take a form. It's like a painter. He needs his color and a whiteboard to paint. And unless he put the color on the on whatever, I don't remember, on the frame, the painting doesn't take form. I can have it in my mind. I've been painting, so I can have it in my mind, but then when it goes on the board, it becomes something different. So whatever I hold in my mind and I entertain in my mind, it will take form when I put it down on a paper, exactly as a painter. So it will take form on a paper and it will make a meaning. And something important is Baba use a word that comes very often in a Murli, and is sada, which is constant. If I want to churn really, I cannot do it every now and then, like once a month. If I go to the doctor and he gives me a medicine, he will tell me for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you will take a medicine every day. And it's not that, he give me a medicine for 2 weeks on a daily basis, and I decide myself to take it once in a week for as long as the bottle lasts. The medicine won't work. And I feel that churning is more or less the same. I need to do it with the constancy, on a constant base, at least to make it into a sanskara. Some people say that if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a sanskara. I guess it's more or less in that way, but it might be different according to our own nature, more or less, I guess. So to be constant on a daily base, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I give this time to myself to churn. If it's more, is even better. But constant, because otherwise the medicine doesn't really build up the sanskara of churning. Well, we saw Daddy Janki is such an incredible churner. So, I've been preparing a slideshow because I don't know the time, but I guess there is not much more time left. And I will put it on the screen. Share screen. Yeah. Yeah. So, later you can receive a compilation of extracts of Murli where Baba is talking about churning power. And Stefania very nicely has been putting them with some creative work. And so you can receive them, download them. I don't know the detail, the sister will share with you. So I've got some points here, like those who have churning power become powerful souls in everything. And this is what I meant before. If I churn, that churning will inform my yoga, my dharana, my service. So it's like churning power make the soul powerful in everything. Such children come in the list of victorious souls. How do I go forward here? No. Sorry. Okay. So constantly keep one virtue in front of you and go into the depth of it. I think is easiest way to take a virtue and explore it. And it can be a point of the Murli, of course. This morning Murli was so rich. Could be a title, like this morning was the bestower of happiness. But virtue can be also very useful, because the more I explore, as Baba says here, the more you will know the value of the virtue, the easier it is to imbibe it and speak about it. And sometimes we do this in the class. We take up a virtue, we explore it for a week, and then we share it. And it's so beautiful to see how each one is so different in what they come up with. It's like there is no end to the ocean of knowledge. And everybody will come with a perspective which enrich each other, listening to each other's churning. It's like a point is in the middle, and the entry, to that point are so many. And different souls will have different entry points. And the sharing of those variety of understanding, variety of churning, enrich us so much. And in fact, there is so much depth in each virtue. Only those who know this can become as valuable. So go into such depth. Can I go and turn the off?
Sure. Yes, do that. No
Yeah,
problem.
just come back in a second.
Yes.
Sorry for this. So those are two questions to churn. Do you consider yourself to be in the list of those who are valuable? And I will find the value of everything and the value of myself that will improve my faith in me, my faith in Baba, faith in everything. So this one question to churn. And what are the main qualifications of those who are valuable? And just a kind of homework. We don't explore them now. But what we do now is actually the churning steps that I think are very important. So if I want to start churning, I guess you do already. So maybe this is very basic, but for those who don't, and I felt it was important. So churning steps, the way I've been, using them. Choose a point, a topic to explore in writing. And these are some, way of exploring them. What does tolerance, I just chosen tolerance as an example. What does tolerance mean to me? So I will start with the definition of something. Today, Baba was saying, a bestower of happiness. So what does happiness means to me, or bestowing means to me? So just begin to start the roll, the ball rolling, begin with the meaning. And second, what are the obstacles I do encounter in becoming tolerant? Because for each one is definitely different. So what is the obstacle I do encounter to become tolerant or to be tolerant? And what are the benefits of being tolerant, because I need to be in a way motivated to become something else. So when I choose a topic, I will explore it going through these three questions, which are already leading and guiding me in a reflection, which is basic reflection and also useful not just for churning, but also maybe for a class. And when I went through those points and those questions, then I would check what Baba is saying about this point. That's why this engine, this Murli search, is so good, because the document that you will receive later with the extracts of the Murli comes from this website. So whenever I want to know what Papa said about patience or about surrender or any point, then I will go into this website and all the points will come out. And so I will look at what I thought, what was my churning, and what Baba is saying about this. And in this way, I move into the idea of, a dialogue with Baba, talking to Baba, I chat with Baba about the topic. If I don't include Baba in and I don't make it into an experience of yoga, churning can become intellectual. And some people are naturally intellectual, and it becomes like something that will provoke many thoughts. They are not necessary, even become like a bit critical, understanding something, in a wider way, but not making into a yoga experience and something that will make me grow, rather than just understanding something that will make me more critical than ever. I don't know if it's clear, but if the approach is just an intellectual approach, and a way also to use not just the left side, the analytical and logical and rational way, can be to visualize myself as the embodiment of tolerance. For me, it's a beautiful way of going into another level of churning, like visualizing myself already accomplished, already the embodiment of that virtue. And how will I look like? What will be my expression? What will be my way of looking? Everything that will give me an image. Jim had been talking about the importance of symbol and images, and so did also Aruna. So visualizing, it's also a very good way to complete the scenario. Share it with Baba and make it into an experience of yoga. I find it closing the cycle. It's like I have a point, I go into the expansion of the point, I explore it, dissect it. When you put something under the microscope and dissect, whatever is under the microscope, you see it, enlarge it. And so I take a point, I go into the expansion, but then I will have to bring it into the essence again, like with a different level of awareness, a realization, a different understanding, a different feeling, and share it with Baba in yoga. For me, that's close the cycle. And use it in my dharna, especially if it's a dharna point. And it will actually clean my perspective, my understanding. I think churning is a cleansing process. Deep cleansing happen through churning. And share it with others, and confront realization so we can enrich each other, as I was saying before. Those who churn are able to create whatever stage they want whenever they want. Whatever point you churn, those jewels of knowledge will make you the conqueror of Maya. because whatever I realize deeply and becomes part of me will be an incredible tool, like an armor to protect and to give me the power to face whatever challenge. And I think this was really my experience. I felt that churning was protecting and providing a lot of strength to face many challenges. You are number wise in being full, and the main reason is the lack of the power of churning. Do not become number wise, become number one. And I would suggest, if you want to take this, idea, to, unless you do it already, to do it for 21 days, or as long as you want, like the recipe of, a doctor, and on a daily basis for the length of time, and see the difference. I It's my experience, so I can guarantee there is a difference, and the difference is also huge. I will stop here. I think I went over time.
Thank you so much, Antonella. I'm not surprised anymore, but again, you took a completely different angle than the others, or really some complementary angle. And I would summarize it as really the strong focus that churning is not la pour la for this churning meaning, but to do something with it. And very strong as a support for yoga, but also dana and service, as you said. And I really loved your story, how you had this determination to make yourself learn churning, even though it wasn't a pleasure at all for you, but then it became one, and you could take so much benefit from it. That's an inspiration for me, I have to say. Yeah, and also that you described it, or your experience has been that you kind of felt you're entering something inside of you which you don't know yet, entering the unknown, and that there is an amazing treasure inside of us which only reveals, or we can only access when we start churning and get to know what we know already. That's very inspiring as well. I think it's like a little bit of an adventure. Also that it wasn't so clear for me before that you say very clearly or strongly that churning has to be written. It's often I feel like I can also think about things like that, but the difference, how you said, from something which is in the mind, but then when it manifests, it becomes something totally different, and makes a lot of sense. I haven't seen that so clearly before. Yeah, of course, consistency, like medicine, also something which is so good to think of, how to include that in one's daily routine. So I saw there are already some questions, and I'm sure Stefania is prepared to address them to you. But yeah, thank you so much. It was very inspirational. It's a flight. Yes.
Yes, we have some questions already. One that came a bit earlier on. The question is, so intellectual churning is objective as compared with personal or subjective churning? I think it came when you were speaking about being all in the, in the head, and that you can become critical, which I found was interesting also. How we need to, Do you want to say a little bit more about this?
Yeah, because if I reflect, because churning means reflection and going deeper, is like diving into, the treasure store inside. But if I do that kind of reflection, because maybe I'm accustomed to explore and think about a topic, but I don't carry Baba with me, and I do it because maybe something is happening. It's like I churn about tolerance, and then I start thinking about people that provoke, me to be intolerant, and I build up something which is not a good feeling, and so I churn, but it becomes like increasing my critical approach. So because I've been seeing this, that's why, and when you listen to people sharing that kind of churning, it's like it doesn't enrich you. It's just a conversation about something that doesn't work. While if I really churn, it's like I bring whatever happened to another level where I access my virtue and my power, which that's the meaning of churning. Churning doesn't really mean just understanding the dynamic, also that, but means for me accessing the level of energy where my powers and virtues are stocked so that I can use them to solve and to have a different vision of the reality, a benevolent vision, a powerful vision, a spiritual vision, an angelic approach. And for this to happen, I need Baba present, and I need to go beyond the frame of the old approach of the intellect, which is explorative but not divine. I don't know how to explain. It's not that I just explore in a logic sense, because some people are very good, even in the logic world, of exploring and dissecting and going deeper. But for me, churning means I imply the diving in the truth, which is virtues, powers, and deeper understanding. And Baba is a main factor. So I come up from that kind of depth with the strength to face the reality as Baba want me to face it. So I come up more powerful, more clear, more equipped to face the reality. So it's not just a deeper understanding, it's a deeper becoming, the embodiment of what Baba want me to be and what my part is calling me to be, which is probably an angel. So it's different, the intellectual approach and the spiritual approach, as Baba teaches us.
I think it's very important what you're saying now. It's so, and it's good to hear it said clearly like this. I wanted to ask you, it's related to this, I guess, because you were speaking about the relationship with Brahma Baba. And I found that interesting. You were saying how the relationship with Brahma Baba and churning is like, has to be together. So maybe this is a bit of a personal question, but can you tell us a bit more about your relationship with Brahma Baba in connection with churning?
Yeah, at the beginning, I remember going to the center. I was really few months in Gyan, maybe few weeks, and looking at the picture of Brahma Baba, and it would be serious or smiling, same picture. And I'm not so much a visionary, actually. I've been always very rational. But it was happening like that it was serious, and that meant revise what you think and revise what you do. It's not very good. And all smiling, and I felt I was doing the right things, I was thinking in the right way. And so whatever that feeling was, it would make me think and start taking the point that would change my attitude. So I felt that Baba was guiding me. to reflect on the right things and the right dharana. And that's it. And I felt that Baba was guiding me all the time. I wouldn't, you know, taking drishti from Bama's picture and sitting in Baba's room and talking to Brahma Baba was very strong. And I felt he was with me all the time.
Wonderful, thank you. We have some more questions. Someone is asking, should we churn 1 point per day or more? And what is the best time to churn and write?
I think it's very personal because different people have different timing. But I used to do it after the Murli. So because the Murli already provide many points, and so the energy is already there, is already moving. So after the Murli was for me the best. But then, as I shared before, I was doing at lunchtime. So any time is good. And for some people, a kind of soft, beautiful music as a background is conducive because, you know, the music relax you and make you into a good state. But any time is good.
Great.
Actually, sometime I used to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and churn because that was the feeling. But, you know, it's very personal for each one.
Someone is saying here, I'm going through the same feelings you did in the beginning. I think it was when you were when it was a torture, probably, or when it was difficult, more difficult. So she's asking, how did you churn on the point? Could you expand on exactly how you did the churning? Of course, you showed us the steps then during the, you know, probably that's the questions you showed us. Is there anything else you would like to add if someone is having like a very difficult time starting to churn?
Yeah. So the steps, like the find of the meaning, what does it mean for me? What is the obstacle? This is the basic one that I've been using. But also an entry point is I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling something which is not pleasant. Why? So starting from the feeling, and also that could be one entry point. Why am I feeling like this? What has been provoking this feeling? What is the opposite of this feeling? Like I'm feeling angry. Why? What did provoke that angry feeling? What's the opposite? Because it could be peace, could be love, could be non-violence. It can be a different way. So that could be an entry point. And another is to look at the situation. For example, I have to face something important. I need courage, let's say. I remember, again, at the beginning, they asked me to give a commentary in public, and the first time. And it was really a way of freaking out. So, you know, never done a commentary in my life, only a few months in Gyan, and it was a public event with the Dalai Lama in front. So I've tried all the possible way to escape it. Like every excuse I could find, and nothing worked. So I had to do it. And I remember really shaking. And then the only way to accept it, the drama, was to churn the topic of the commentary and to create a feeling about it. You know, the topic was God the Father. So I had to explore and bring it into a feeling so that I would transmit that feeling and let it go, not being, you know, not rational, but just a feeling type. But to bring it into a feeling, I had to bring it into an experience for myself. So churning in terms of getting from a concept to a feeling. God is my Father. What does it mean to me? How do I feel it? What does provoke in my heart and my mind this relationship with Baba? So when that became a feeling, I was prepared. And so, yeah, bring it into a feeling rather than just an understanding.
Beautiful. I think this has been like a thread, actually, that all of you have been speaking for the past days, which is interesting, how the head and the heart, have to be connected, and how it's vital to bring it into the feeling. So
One point more I can add, there have been 5 sessions on this topic, or it could be anything else, but to extract the main point from each one is like extracting the main point. Like I would go through the book of Daddy Yankee and extract one point here and there that makes meaning to me and sense to me, and that may make my treasures of points, special point. I would do that coming back from Madhuban, revising all the classes, extracting the main point, become one page of such richness for me that were the main one. So that's also a way of churning, looking for the best jewels from whatever, and keep them and explore them. So it's like selecting.
wonderful. I can see now why you were our last speaker, because you are kind of winding it up and helping us to move forward with it. So that's great. And all the recordings are there, of course, so we can all see them again. And like you're saying, we can make our own little book of treasures from those classes. So that's wonderful. Someone else is asking, I'm trying to increase yoga time too. Can churning and writing while connecting or talking with Baba be regarded as yoga time?
Of course, churning is churning and yoga is yoga, but they goes together. So if I have a good churning, then it's so easy to enter the feeling of being with Baba and being beyond everything. So it can be a nice way to begin yoga. And also, sometime when we have a bhakti, after the bhakti, during the bhakti, we give a topic, let's say love. And after the bhakti, everybody share the experience of love. And sometime while you meditate, you do explore a topic because, thinking and experiencing and then go back to the feeling, it's all together. I mean, you cannot split it. And if you have to share it after, it becomes even more concentrated because you need to share something meaningful and important, and that can enrich the gathering. So yeah, churning and yoga, they dance together. It's a dance.
Great. Just maybe one last question, unless anyone has something burning, please put it in the chat. But I have a question about, do you find it different to churn the Sakar Murlis or the Avyakt Murlis? Do you do it like a similar way, or how does it feel to you? Do you approach it in the same way, or is there any difference in your way of churning?
The Avyakt Murli are mainly point of dharana, so they are easier, like virtues. And it's good to start with that if it's not a sanskara yet, but the main juice come from the Sakar Murli. And I used to churn the Sakar Murli because there are 6 days a week. So 6 days a week, that's the churning. But they bring you into a different level of depth. That will make easier also with the Avyakt. Anyway, Murli is Murli, Avyakt, Sakar, everything is fine.
Yes. Wonderful, Antonella. This has been so rich and so practical like I said, to end our retreat with, those points and suggestions for how to move forward. It's great. So, Caroline, would you like to jump on board with some announcements?
Maybe just now one question came to mind, so I add that. Antonella, do you have any idea or suggestion how you would see this initiative of an offer of such kind of a retreat to move forward?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you have any inspiration how you would see this initiative, this offer of the retreat, Churning Writing, to move forward?
I think it would be a brilliant idea because it's so basic, but yet so powerful. And we know there is one of the instructions from Baba to keep churning, writing, exploring, being introvert. Yeah, it will be a great thing.
Okay, if any further inspiration comes to mind, you please let us know.
Sure.
So we have some announcements for today. It's the last day. We would like you to fill in a feedback form, which I think Stefania has already put in the chat. The link would be very helpful for us if you could take a few minutes to do that and help us evaluate what can be done differently. In the afternoon, today is Monday, and we have the fortune since a while to have Sister Genti's Murli revision of the Avyak Murli. So we wanted to include that in the retreat. So the afternoon timing changes a little bit. We have 5 o'clock the Murli revision of Sister Genti, and that's a normal Zoom and YouTube links. But then afterwards, at 6 o'clock, we would meet for 45 minutes to close the event, the retreat, with our little late afternoon session. And we do try to get a senior to wave us off and to speak some blessings for us. It's not so easy to get hold of them, but maybe there is a chance for someone from one of our seniors to come and be with us. Yeah, that's I think the main points for now. And would be lovely if you, Antonella, could share some thoughts for the meditation with us. And we have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You had a good idea for this kind of sessions. So I relax, and I guess we're already relaxed. And just fly to Baba. It's the greatest journey. Withdrawing from every other thought, like everything else becomes distant. Whatever around myself become distant. What I'm going to do later is not relevant now. I just withdraw, become silent, and move towards Baba with my heart and mind, and get lost in his energy, feeling his presence, being very close, feeling his love, that filled my heart with deep benevolence and mercy. That's the energy I want to carry today. Deep benevolence and mercy. As the world needs so much this kind of energy, silent, deep, powerful. And I become just an instrument from Baba to spread such waves of love, benevolence, and mercy. And I just absorb Baba's energy, feeling light, feeling beyond, getting in touch with my eternity. I'm an eternal being that uses this body to play an incredible part on this stage. I just remember my part, remember my story, remember what am I doing here with God, remember the essence of everything, and getting just lost in Baba's energy. Everything else means nothing. And I keep absorbing His love, filled with power. His peace, His pure energy. And feeling deeply, deeply blissful. And this bliss makes me happy. And the energy of happiness that I can share is a silent energy that makes a difference in the atmosphere. The world needs peace, happiness, and I can share it silently. Being connected with the truth, being just an instrument of God, being me in my eternal form, and I remain for some second in this awareness, just spreading light out of love, benevolence, and mercy. In that sacred space within me, I restore myself, cleansing the past, preparing for the future, activating the best of me, bringing newness, like taking rebirth in every thought, at every moment. Just dive deep in the self and fly high towards the light. Dive deep to be you. Fly high to be with God and spread the light. So simple. Our inner journey, our story, love story. Om Shanti.